Greetings, fellow Gorehounds, and welcome back to a Blood Splattered vlog. I'm the Horror Guru.
And I'm Count Jackula.
And today we're going to be talking about Wrong Turn, the 2021 reboot of the Wrong Turn franchise, not to be confused with the 2003 Wrong Turn, which is the original Wrong Turn. And we're going to have to be very careful talking about this pre-spoilers, because this is a movie that can be very easily spoiled. Because the thing that separates this movie from the other Wrong Turn movies happens about halfway through into the movie. Yeah. But a couple of things that we can say is that this is a very different movie from the original Wrong Turn series. To the point where you could argue that the movie probably could have been called something else and still been a good movie. But at the same time, I don't know if the twist that happens halfway through the movie would be as impactful if it didn't have the Wrong Turn name.
Right.
You know, so it's kind of like a catch-22 situation there.
Well, one of the things is, if you count it as part of the Wrong Turn series, it's kind of undoubtedly the best in the franchise.
That I can also say. I actually recently have been binging all the Wrong Turn movies, and I'm actually a huge fan of the first two movies. I think the first one is a great 70s throwback hillbilly horror movie.
Yeah, it's a good dumb flick, you know?
And the second one's kind of like the Evil Dead 2 of the franchise. It's a lot more over the top, and it's a little rough around the edges, with some of the acting.
Yeah, but it's also made by a boy, David Lynch. Joe Lynch. Yeah,
I love Joe Lynch. If any of you are fans of the movie Crypt, Joe Lynch is one half of the movie Crypt with Adam Green. Adam Green being the director of the Hatchet series. And I'm a huge fan of Joe Lynch, so I'm a huge fan of Wrong Turn 2, which is just an over-the-top, hilarious horror comedy with Henry Rollins being a badass. And
It's really good.
We love to see it.
That's the one. That's the one where the hillbilly mutants start getting some superpowers.
Yeah, well, yeah, because in Wrong Turn 2, they established that there's the origin of the hillbillies aren't just that they are inbred, but there's also a toxic waste factory.
Yeah. There's some Toxic Avenger going on there. You know,
that one also makes it more of a hillbilly family, whereas in the original Wrong Turn, there's just the three original inbred hillbillies, Three Fingers, One Eye, and Sawtooth. In Wrong Turn 2, Three Fingers is the only one that survived, and he's part of a larger family where we get a whole batch of new hillbilly characters that he kills people with. But anyway, that's the old Wrong Turn franchise. The old Wrong Turn franchise was basically people from the city coming to the backwoods and fighting off inbred hillbilly cannibals. That's, very 70s style, very Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and very Hills of Eyes. This movie's very different from that. Without getting into spoilers, it's very different from that. So your results with it may vary as a result of that. But personally, this was the best of the Wrong Turn movies.
Oh, yeah.
It is the most different, but it is also the best movie, hands down. Dare I say, this is actually, I was thinking about it, and if I were to make another top 10 list, this would probably be on there for movies I've seen this year. Yeah. It was really fucking good.
Yeah.
It still kind of has some of the themes of people from the city coming to the backwoods and finding themselves engulfed in a conflict that has some socio-political elements to it, but in a very different way than the original franchise.
Yeah. One of the things that's really good about this movie that is probably the biggest departure from everything else, which is you kind of like these people.
That's another thing. The main characters in this are extremely likable. The Wrong Turn franchise had a problem where a lot of the main characters in most of the movies weren't super likable. You had a couple characters here and there, but overall,
in 2, there are a couple characters that are so likable.
There's a couple characters that, it's hard not to like Henry Rollins in that movie. Wrong Turn 1 had Elijah Dushku and the one main guy that were reasonably likable, and I think it was Wrong Turn 4, which was the prequel, had some characters that were likable. I really like the lesbians in that movie. They were pretty cool.
Yeah. But of course, there's Wrong Turn 5.
Wrong Turn 5 was the worst one. I don't care what anyone says. That movie was so bad. I know it was made by the same guy who made Wrong Turn 3 and 4, but it feels like he forgot everything that worked about those movies when he made the 5th one.
Yeah, it's pretty mind-numbingly boring.
And to be clear, Wrong Turn 3 is a little shaky on its own right. I actually think Wrong Turn 4, his prequel, was the best movie he made of the movie.
Yeah, well, I feel but before this, I feel like the franchise peaked at 2.
Yeah,
you know?
It definitely did. Actually, when you actually comment below, let me know what your favorite Wrong Turn movie is, actually. Like, let us know. At the end of the vlog, we'll give you a hashtag to include with it, so maybe you want to wait until the end of the vlog, but either way, let us know what your favorite Wrong Turn movie is. Yeah, the characters in this movie are extremely likable.
Yeah.
And they're extremely likable, and I also like the philosophical arguments they get into in the middle of the movie.
Yeah.
Because these characters are way more aware of their situation than characters normally are in these kinds of movies. Not to like the Scream level where they're like quoting movies,
right.
But like from a socio-political standpoint. They're aware of being city people and a diverse group of city people coming to a rural white environment.
Yeah.
And the weird tension that's there.
Yep.
And they actually are aware of it and talking about it. And I actually really liked all their conversations they had about it.
Yeah. It was pretty good.
Like, even like the character who you could argue is the biggest asshole of the group, there are points when he's just 100% right.
Yep.
You know? Even he may be an asshole, but he's not wrong, you know? Like,
yeah.
And I really liked that. It's very gray. It's very, very balanced in a weird way.
Yeah.
This movie is still gnarly as all fuck. One of the things that the old Wrong Turn movies had is like traps in the woods killing people.
Yeah.
This movie has traps in the woods killing people, and they're pretty gnarly. I will say this: this was the first of the Wrong Turn movies where I felt bad when everyone died.
Oh yeah, because it ain't pretty.
Yeah, it's not only does it hit really hard, not only was I cringing and like looking through my fingers because it was so fucking gnarly, I also just cared about the characters more.
Yeah. Well, dude, like the first kill that they do, the one with the log.
Oh man.
Yeah, dude. All right. This movie is not shy about showing it. Oh, special effects.
No, just because this is a diverse reboot does not mean it's PG-13. This is like
a hard R.
This movie is a harder R than some of the unrated versions of the old movies.
Oh yeah.
So.
Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah. Whoever made like all the fucking like dead body prosthetics and all that. Whoa.
Also, kudos to the so this was actually written by one of the original writers of the first Wrong Turn movie. So this is the writer of the original Wrong Turn kind of taking the series in a completely new direction and kind of reinventing it. And I actually got to give him kudos for doing that without repeating himself at all.
Yeah.
Like, there is nothing in this that feels like it's just a repeat of something from the previous movies.
Yeah, unless you count, like, 5 people going to the woods and get attacked by
unless you count the premise. Unless you count the premise. And the acting was also just top notch in this movie. Some of the Wrong Turn movies have cheap slasher movie style acting.
Oh yeah.
This movie felt like everyone was just like a real actor giving it 100%.
Yep.
Like there's not a bad performance in this entire movie, which is not something I can say.
It's hard to have a horror movie without having a really good cast in a post Ari Aster world.
Like, you know, outside of Wrong Turn 1, every Wrong Turn movie has a bad performance in it. Even Wrong Turn 2. I love Wrong Turn 2.
Yeah.
But there's some bad actors in that movie.
Oh yeah, totally. You know, you're just sort of like, oh, that wasn't.
This movie is just, there's not a single bad actor. It's all great.
No.
It's all
yeah,
phenomenal.
everyone's good and solid.
So I'm going to move on to the spoilers because it's really hard to talk about without spoilers, but just know it's a very different beast from the original Wrong Turn movies, but it is the best movie among them. So just watch it, not even thinking about it as Wrong Turn, and you'll probably have a blast.
Yeah.
And you'll probably have a really good time. I especially think you'll like this movie if you're a fan. Jack already kind of mentioned it, of like Ari Aster movies.
Yeah.
Or any of the more recent indie style horror movies that are like Ari Aster like, you'll really like this movie. Though, to be clear, even though it has like elements of that, this is still a backwoods horror movie in which people get killed in gnarly ways.
Yeah. It's still about watching people get killed.
Yeah.
You know?
It's still got that kind of slasher element to it. All right, so with that said, it is currently available on various platforms, mainly to rent. Pick your poison and enjoy. With that said, let us move on to the spoilers.
One of the things about this movie that I couldn't fucking believe is that the movie has technically a higher body count than it has cast members who could be killed.
True.
You know, like they give you extra slashing.
Oh, they really do. They really do. Okay. All right, we're in the spoiler section. So if you do not want the big twist of this movie to be spoiled, and I honestly don't know if any of the marketing already spoiled this because I never watched the trailer.
Yeah.
But so I went into this movie blind, just being a fan of the first two Wrong Turn movies. So the twist of this movie is that it's not backwoods hillbillies killing people. It is a old cult of pagan Vikings.
Yeah.
That have secluded themselves from society and formed their own like cult-like commune, in which they
out in the Appalachians of the West Virginia region,
where they live off the land, and they've set up all these traps in the woods around them to deter people from going into their woods.
Right.
And the local hillbillies that actually live there are aware of them and try to steer clear of them because they will give no fucks. They will kill anybody that comes near to them. Or you will be taken into the camp and never seen again.
Yeah. No one ever comes back, dead or alive.
And, like, the lore of this is that these were a group of Americans back before the Civil War broke out who decided to isolate themselves separate from the rest of America so that when the war did take place, A, they'd be safe, and B, when the United States collapsed in on itself, they would rise up as the new society.
Right.
But obviously, over time, that didn't necessarily happen yet, so they've just kind of been formed this isolationist little cult in the woods. They kind of, weirdly enough, they're kind of like pagan communists, like.
Oh yeah.
You know. Like,
yeah. It is a pagan commune.
But like only somewhat because they still obviously have a really strict hierarchy of
oh yeah, some motherfucker's gonna be in charge.
You have leader guy who kind of acts like almost like king of the village.
Yep.
And he's the judge, jury, and executioner. Literally, we see him execute people and we see him judge them of the village. So even though it has like a commune like feel to it, it is ultimately also a dictatorship. Which naturally makes it a cult.
A cult.
Because that's how cults act.
Yep.
They kind of feel like they're communists, but in reality, they're dictatorships.
They're dictatorships, yeah.
You know? And so you have this diverse group of teenage kids that are going on a hiking trail in the mountains, and they one of the friends decides that he wants to go see this old abandoned settlement that was from like the colonial era. Because it's a historical site and he wants to explore it because he's really obsessed with like communes and stuff, and so he himself is very much a communist, and he wants to go see about it because it's this early American commune settlement. What they don't realize is that it actually still exists.
Yeah, they're still there. Yeah.
And he ultimately ends up getting most of his friends killed to go explore this thing, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But what I really like about this movie is that you, on top of them dying these gnarly deaths, either because of the traps or because of what happens when they get taken in by the commune to be tried, is the philosophical / survival arguments that happen throughout this movie.
Oh yes. Yeah, because there are a lot of times when like the main characters have to sacrifice morals and ethics just to live,
just to survive. Because at the beginning of this movie, they don't give you all the information up front. So you're kind of having to piece together what's going on as it's happening, which is great. That's just,
it puts you where the main characters are.
Puts you exactly where the main characters are. So you're not sure if these kids are trespassing on someone's land. So are they in the wrong?
Yeah.
And then there's a point in which one of the kids gets taken in by this trap, but then he turns out he's alive, and we see some of the commune members like carrying him in a way that looks very fucking scary because they got him like hogtied.
Well, yeah, they got him hogtied. It's like, but we're eating this tonight.
And so they attack that person, and then one of the people and one of the commune people ends up getting killed in this process. But at this point, we don't know it's a commune. We still thinking it's like hillbillies.
Hillbillies, yeah.
It's cannibalistic hillbillies, and we also don't know if. We also don't know if these people even intended to kill them, or if like the kids just accidentally started falling into the traps.
Yeah.
You know, if they, basically, you do not know if this is like a more serious version of what's that movie? The horror comedy with the two hillbillies and the kids are killing themselves.
Oh, Tucker and Dale?
Tucker and Dale. If it's a more serious version of Tucker and Dale where the kids are actually the ones in the wrong fucking everything up.
Yeah.
Because they're the first ones who kill one of the people directly.
Yeah.
And this gets them in trouble with the commune, and now the commune wants them dead, and it becomes survival time, and then you have this whole philosophical argument of like, well, wait, we killed one of them. Oh, that's
yeah. And it isn't until like a bit later that you realize that, oh no, they were always just planning to fucking
yes,
kill
because
somebody.
by the end of the movie, it becomes clear that one, no, those traps weren't meant for animals; they were meant for people.
Yeah.
Number one, and number two, the traps were either meant to kill you or scare you away from coming into the thing. So they were intentionally killing you.
Yep.
So, like, this isn't the guy who ends up killing one of the dudes and, like, survival time, let's get out of here. He may be an asshole in some respects, but he's right in this context.
Yeah, he's 100% right. Yeah.
The other thing about this movie is that it's a very nihilistic and raw movie, so characters that don't deserve it get fucking gnarly deaths.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. The innocent are not spared.
No, innocents are not spared. It becomes a pure survival game. And I actually like the journey of the main final girl of the movie, for lack of a better word. She starts off as basically white girl feminist.
Yeah.
You know, like super loving white girl, modern progressive kind of person. Kind of has her ethics and her morals challenged over the course of the movie.
Yeah.
And by the end of the movie, in a situation, because she obviously comes from a very well-off middle-class family.
Right.
And now she's in a situation in which all there is survival.
Yep.
And she changes over the course of the movie as a result of that, in a way that a lot of movies imply, but this movie actually shows.
Yeah. I haven't seen someone actually like show that journey since I think The Hills Have Eyes.
Mm-hmm. The Hills Have Eyes is actually a great example.
Yeah.
Both The Hills Have Eyes, are the first one, and the remake, both had this very specific journey. And this movie kind of has that journey again, but for a girl. And a lot of like the whole Final Girl stories, most Final Girls kind of go through a journey like this, but this one, it's way more explicit that that's what's happening.
Yeah.
Like it's actually exploring the psyche of that journey.
Yeah, it's like it's not just saying in order to survive you have to kill this one person. It is saying that in order to survive this scenario you have to be a killer.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And so like she kind of has to make some compromises that she would normally not compromise. She has to kill some people that she wouldn't normally kill. And what I also liked is that beyond the movie, because over the course of the movie, we're also following her dad. And her dad, you kind of have this kind of Last House on the Left thing where for half of the movie you're following the victim and in the next movie you're following the dad trying to get revenge and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And like the dad ends up actually coming and like helping her escape from the commune, because over the course of the movie, she basically ends up compromising so that she can survive, basically becomes the wife of the leader of the commune.
Yeah.
And naturally that means that she has to sleep with him and follow his rules.
Yeah, and she's very much treated like a cult leader's bride as opposed to a queen.
Exactly. She does not have much agency of her own.
No.
You know. But she's able to take the things she learns from this experience and turn it against the fucking commune.
Yeah.
Which is some of the most exciting parts of the movie.
Oh, yeah. That's the whole climax.
That's where you get the final girl turning the weapons against the slasher.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's a whole cult instead of the slasher.
Yeah. So, like, the climax of the movie is this them escaping the woods as all these people are trying to kill them at once.
And one thing I was actually super impressed by is the movie doesn't end there.
No.
It could have easily ended that they escaped, they got away from the commune, and just kind of had your Texas Chainsaw Massacre, her screaming as they drive away kind of thing. But instead, they actually go further than that and actually go into the aftermath of living after having escaped something like that and how you never truly escape it.
Yep.
You know, like whether it's in your head or they're actually coming after you.
Yeah.
It continues beyond that, and like, oh man, like this movie had one of my favorite endings of a horror movie this year so far.
The ending was awesome.
Oh my god! I'm not gonna spoil the final ending because it's fucking beautiful.
Yeah, we'll say this though. Like, look, this is a movie where you will watch to the end of the credits.
Yeah,
because once the credits start rolling, the movie is still going.
Yeah. Another thing I really like about this movie is it actually did something at one point that I normally don't like, but I liked it in this context. So we've all been through this experience where we're watching a movie and a scene happens and then it like smash cuts to like either someone waking up and the whole scene was a dream, or it cuts to someone and they're just standing there and it didn't actually happen. That was just one possible scenario that what could happen or whatever. And sometimes that can feel like you were cheated out of something really cool or cheated out of something really really impactful. In this scene, it actually has a scene where that happens, but I like it in the context of this movie because it's watching her go through the scenarios of how something's going to play out and having to make the best worst decision.
Figure out what the best decision, the best worst decision is.
And so even though like you have that like you have a scene that's like this really gnarly, like holy shit fucking moment.
Yeah.
And then it cuts and it didn't actually happen and it's her working through it. I didn't mind it because I actually liked watching her thought process.
Well, it's also a really good scene, but like you got it. Mm-hmm. She is outnumbered.
Yeah.
She is like...
Oh, especially with the reveal when it goes outside and there was more people waiting outside.
Yep.
So like even in the version in her head, it was more complicated than that.
Yep.
It's like, damn. So yeah, like this is a fucking brutal as fuck gnarly horror movie, but with all the gravitas and like nuance of something like Midsommar.
Yeah.
So if you like those type of backwoods horror movies, if you like killer cult movies, if you just like weird pagan fucking weird pagan commune movies, which I don't know if that's a specific.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a thing.
The Wicker Man.
But that's not like movies, but I don't know if that's a whole subgenre.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a whole subgenre. If you like those kinds of movies, but you also like more art house movies with a lot more depth and meaning to it, this movie kind of bridges the gap between those two movies.
Oh,
big
yes.
time.
Yes.
And I loved it because I loved all those movies, all those kinds of movies. So Wrong Turn 2021, definitely my favorite Wrong Turn movie so far. And I say that as a huge fan of Wrong Turn 1 and 2. So with that said, where can they find you, Count Jackula?
Well, you can find me on Twitch at Count_Jackula, where I stream twice a week on Thursdays and Sundays. Belch. Always happen around this thing. I don't know. Anyway, you can catch me on Twitch at Count_Jackula on Thursdays and Sundays at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, where we talk about all kinds of groovy things like Satan, like, how long does a corpse take to decay? And...
Question.
Yeah. And like, well, what's... the sexual act of docking. What's all that about, And we'd love to see you come in and, sit down, have a listen. You could also find me on Twitter, where I just kind of generally just kind of bitch about things.
True.
At Jack Satanwave. And you can find me on Instagram, where I sometimes post inspirational things.
Inspirational things.
At Satanic Jackula. And... with that, how about you?
Y'all know me, I'm the Horror Guru. You can find me at the Horror Guru on Twitch, on Twitter, on Instagram, and Facebook. Just look up the Horror Guru or Blood Splattered Cinema, and I'll be there. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and remember to ring that notification bell so you're notified of my videos immediately upon their upload. And if you would like to help out either of us more directly, be sure to check out our Patreon pages, and remember, if you decide to go the Patreon route, even $1 a month can go a long way. And what hashtag should we have them use for this one? Let's see.
Hashtag Viking.
Hashtag Viking. All right. So if you made it this far into the video, put hashtag Viking in your comment somewhere. And don't forget to tell me or us, what your favorite Wrong Turn movie is and why. With that said, Benny loves you. And peace out.